I stood there, frozen. The earth had just shaken beneath my boots like the very thunder of a storm was rolling through my backyard. Dust rose into the air, hanging there, thick and suffocating. Birds scattered from the trees, their frantic flapping the only sound cutting through the silence that followed, louder than the blast itself. Through the window, I saw the thick, gray smoke billowing up from the far side of my ranch. The same side where Karen, the HOA president, had driven her bright red SUV through my land one too many times. She thought she owned it. She thought she could do whatever she wanted. But I wasn't trying to hurt anybody. I wasn't making landmines like something out of a war zone. But damn, they looked like it, didn't they? I built them myself, pressure-triggered metal plates rigged with noise poppers and smoke charges. Enough to scare the pants off anyone who dared ignore the lines I'd drawn on my land. My heart raced as I rushed outside, hopping on my four-wheeler. The old oak gate marking the edge of my land had been blasted wide open. Tire tracks cut deep into the mud, leading right up to the wreckage. Karen's red SUV, half buried in the dust, the front bumper bent, and one tire wobbling like a beaten dog. And there she was, Karen, hands on her hips, face red as fire, shouting into her phone like I was the one who had trespassed. I killed the engine, climbed down, and walked toward her. I warned you, I said, my voice steady calm. Stay off my land. But she just pointed at the smoking dirt, as if I had set off a bomb in her face on purpose. That's when I knew. Things were about to get worse. Much worse. Because Karen wasn't backing down, and I wasn't about to either. Just as I turned to walk back to my four-wheeler, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. There was another tire track. A smaller one. Thinner, deeper, fresher, definitely not hers. I followed it on foot. It snaked around the ridge, past the barn, and vanished near the old creek bed. That's when I heard it. Crying. Duke, my German shepherd, took off running. I followed, breaking into a sprint. And then I saw him. A boy, maybe 11 or 12, sitting by his overturned electric scooter. Tears streaked down his dusty face as he clutched his ankle. What happened? I shouted, rushing over. The boy looked up, eyes wide, trembling. She made me come here, he whispered. Karen, she told me to drive through your land. She said it was fine. She said you'd never know. My gut twisted. I knelt beside him, noticing the bruise forming on his wrist, the fear in his eyes, not from the fall, but from something else. Does Karen live with you? I asked gently. He nodded. She's my stepmom. In that moment, I knew this wasn't just about trespassing. Karen wasn't just breaking fences. She was breaking people. Before I could ask anything else, I heard the familiar roar of an engine behind us. Karen's SUV. She skidded to a stop just 10 feet away, dust exploding into the air. Duke growled, stepping in front of me and Eli, protecting us. She jumped out of the car, slamming the door so hard it shook. There you are, she snapped, glaring at Eli like he'd just stolen a bank's worth of cash. What are you doing down there with him? Eli flinched, not answering, just staring down at his scraped hands, trying not to cry. Karen, I said, my voice calm but firm. You need to back up. This boy is hurt. I'm calling an ambulance. She laughed, like I'd just told a joke. Don't be dramatic. He's fine. Get in the car, Eli. But Eli didn't move. I stepped between them. He's not going anywhere with you until I'm sure he's all right. And from the looks of it, he's not. Karen narrowed her eyes at me. You're not his father. No, I said, but I'm the landowner. And you've been trespassing, threatening, and now you've dragged a kid into it. Karen shook her head, a sneer creeping across her face. He needed a shortcut, she barked. It's just a dirt road. Don't act like I blew up your house. I stared her down, but it was Eli who spoke up, his voice small. You did, he said. You made me go through here. And just like that, the truth hit me. This wasn't just about land anymore. Karen wasn't just trying to bully me off my land. She was hurting people. Call the ambulance, I said, ignoring Karen, keeping my eyes on Eli. But Karen wasn't done. Not by a long shot. The next few days, I kept an eye on the ranch. Eli's dad, Mark, came by to apologize for what had happened. A quiet man, looking worn out and tired. I'm sorry, he said, shaking my hand. I don't know what's gotten into her. But that didn't last long. A few days later, Karen was back, this time at 2 in the morning. The trail cams had pinged, and I saw them. Her, 2 other HOA board members. Flashlights in hand. I grabbed my boots, threw on my jacket, and went outside. The cameras showed them setting up signs on my land. Signs that read, HOA boundaries redrawn. This land is now public easement. Not anymore, I shouted, stepping out from behind the trees. Karen just smiled. You didn't show up at the zoning meeting, she said. The county approved our request. Now you're going to cooperate whether you like it or not. I stepped forward, calm but deadly serious. I never got any notice. Oh, I mailed it, she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. I was furious, but I didn't show it. Not yet. Let me guess, I said. You forged my signature, didn't you? Karen just smirked. You didn't fight back. You should have accepted it. I shook my head slowly. No, Karen, you've crossed the line. And that's when the trap was sprung. As Karen turned her back to gloat, she stepped on one of my new traps. Boom. The charge went off with a roar, sending plumes of smoke and fire into the air. She dropped her phone, screaming louder than I had ever heard anyone scream. Her crew bolted, and Karen hit the ground, clutching her ears, her face pale with fear. I stood over her calmly. I warned you, Karen. This is my land, and I'm done playing games. But that wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. Sheriff Grady arrived, tired but unfazed by Karen's theatrics. Karen, he said, barely looking at her. We've gotten noise complaints from 3 houses away and a 911 call from you. But this isn't the first time we've had to talk about you being on Jack's land. You want to explain why you're here at 2 a.m.? Karen didn't have an answer. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just about the land anymore. This was about justice. The next day, I went to the county office, only to discover a forged zoning petition that granted the HOA access to my land. The signature? Not mine. I filed charges for fraud, a lawsuit, and Karen wasn't backing down. She doubled down, sending contractors to dig through my fields, destroy my irrigation line. But it was too late. The tide had turned. I filmed everything, documented everything. The public got behind me. Soon, the truth about Karen's corruption came to light. The public started calling her out, and she began losing support. She tried to silence me, but I kept fighting. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. My barn was set on fire. Karen tried to blame me for it, but she couldn't outrun the evidence. The video footage, the social media posts, the whistleblowers. The truth was coming out, and the case was building up. The public was on my side, and soon enough, Karen's whole world came crashing down. But the final blow came when I found out why the Department of Energy was suddenly interested in my land. There was a lithium deposit beneath my ranch, a fortune sitting right under my feet. Suddenly, Karen's shady dealings made sense. She wasn't just fighting for control of the land. She was after the money. And when she tried to steal it, the authorities swooped in and arrested her and her crew. I filed a lawsuit for property fraud, emotional distress, and defamation. And in the end, it wasn't about the land anymore. It was about justice, about protecting what's rightfully yours. So, wherever you're watching from Texas, New York, Ohio, or Alaska, remember, no matter how loud the bullies get, no matter how powerful they seem, there's always one thing they'll never own: your will to stand. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's your take on this? Do you think Karen got what she deserved? What would you have done if you were in my shoes? And always remember, you need courage. You need truth, and sometimes you need a little fire in your soul to fight back.